So welcome to the first session of What's New in Theorem-XR. I'm Chris Litchfield. I'm the Sales Director at Theorem, and I'm joined with Ryan.
So yeah, I'm Ryan Dugmore, Consultancy Director here at Theorem, and here, as Chris has said, to really just discuss what's new with Theorem-XR. So for the people that don't know us, Chris, can you give a bit of a summary on where Theorem are and what they've done historically?
So historically, Theorem have been a CAD translation company. We've been in that business for over 30 years now. So taking NX to CATIA or CATIA to Creo, or to STEP or to JT. So that's the foundation of most of our products. Then we move that into 3D PDF, so taking your CAD data model and embedding it in a 3D PDF document, so making it transportable, so you can send a PDF to somebody and they can manipulate the CAD without having to know how to use CAD, or B, have a CAD license. And since then we've moved into XR, which we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I think as Chris has sort of mentioned, the last 4 or 5 years, as the industry has been, as it's been taking off, we've been more heavily involved with XR solutions. We've developed a suite of applications which essentially are fundamentally based on a server solution, which is Theorem Visualization Pipeline. And this is about optimizing and preparing CAD data for use in XR applications. So that could be applications that we deliver. So we understand obviously that our customers have needs for XR devices, and we've delivered, we've created a number of off-the-shelf solutions that we can deliver for customers to use. Similarly, we've worked with customers who develop their own applitions but want to use the pipeline capability to furnish them. So whereas historically we'd have gone CATIA to JT, we can offer in CATIA consumption but for use in FBX or GLTF in downstream Unity applications or other XR based applications.
One of the things that Theorem's kind of prided itself on is the ability to work with any CAD, but how do you see with the devices, because obviously there's the front end bringing the data in, but with this being such a young industry and devices appearing on almost a monthly basis, where are Theorem in that space of supporting devices?
Well, I think as with the historic translation products, we're sort of CAD device agnostic. We can read any data and push it to the downstream system you want, and we've gone for that approach with Theorem-XR as well. So essentially, we're CAD agnostic, but we're also device agnostic. We understand that this market's heavily changing. There's new devices released day on day. The way we've architected our experiences is to be able to support these new devices quickly as they come to market, and as others fall off. It's an ever-changing market that we're working in, and we have to be prepared to support customers as the devices change.
When people visit the Theorem website, they'll start to see terms such as pipeline or design review or factory layout or guides. Just going back to pipeline, where do you see the benefit of the Theorem pipeline sitting when you're talking to companies?
Well, I think everyone's really on an exploratory session at the moment, understanding where VR can give you, or VR, MR, AR can give you the best ROI in your business. And what the pipeline does is enables people at an enterprise level to optimize and prepare data for usage, no matter their use case. So the pipeline, the real benefit of the pipeline is that it's robust, and we can support systems that come along, and we can prepare data and make it ready for any particular use case that arrives.
When you engage with companies, they quite often seem to start their journey with the device and then try and shoehorn the rest of their process into the device. Obviously you've mentioned we have an agnostic approach, but something that really is overlooked until they come up against the problem is the optimization process, and why you need to be flexible in that approach.
Yeah, and as you've touched on there, I think that depending on the device and depending on the use case defines what optimization is required. Some devices you need to heavily optimize and prepare data so it's usable. And we've got a number of different features and capabilities that we can go into during this chat that enable us to do that. And the pipeline flexibility is, the aim of that is to enable you to optimize it for one use case, or if you're streaming streaming data down from a remote rendering service, you can keep a high fidelity model and keep the quality. So it's purely based on the use case at the moment, and we work, flexibly with the pipeline to understand what a customer needs and hopefully prepare it based on that.
So you've given us an overview of the capabilities of the pipeline that people plug in to take their CAD data through to feed their own applications or Theorem's applications. Would you like to just go through what out-of-the-box ready-to-use solutions we offer in the application space?
Yes, so we've got Theorem-XR for VR, Theorem-XR for MR, Theorem-XR for AR. It's essentially furnishing applications for all the devices that are available on the market at the moment. And in that, we've got distinct set of grouped features which we've understood to be customer use cases. So we've got basic visualization, design review, factory layout, guides. So they're essentially, as I say, grouped features that we've put together that we, working with customers, working with suppliers, we understand that the majority of tasks people want to do could fall into one of these categories. So we provide them, and we work with customers to understand their use case, and we adapt our roadmap as these devices and things enhance. So do we. But there are a number of off-the-shelf solutions that we provide if, as you say, you're not in the market for developing your own apps currently.
The other thing I've seen more recently, so we've been talking about applications for a number of years, is the ARR, Azure Remote Rendering. What capability we've got there, and what's new in the HoloLens 2 that you'd like to explore?
Yeah. Okay, so at the recent release, we've updated our HoloLens 2 offering. So historically, we've had all of the experiences that I've covered there on the device itself. So obviously, what that entails is doing factory layout live on the device. Putting the device on in your area. It might be an empty factory, it may be your office, and it's about applying, bringing in models from different locations, different sources, and putting them all in and completing a layout, but in the mixed reality space. Where we've, as you've touched on, we've now ported all of those into Azure. So what that enables a user to do is to take much higher volumes of data, much higher quality data. Essentially, we again put it through our pipeline, it optimizes it, prepares it, pushes it to a remote rendering farm where it sits up in the cloud, and when you access it from within our application, it streams that down live to the device. So we can work on that collaboratively again. So multiple users in HoloLenses or in VR, it could be someone in HoloLens, someone in VR, can be working in this same model space and bringing, streaming high quality, high volumes of data down. And we're a Microsoft Silver partner, so we've worked closely with them to develop this capability, and we're very proud of what it can give. And it's enabled us at this release to take all of our standard applications, but take out the limitation of a processing or rendering everything locally on the device. It's purely rendered in the cloud. That said, if there's still a need to pull in a file locally, so if you've got some data in your pipeline that's locally stored, you can pull that in alongside the rendered data. So it's about again, flexibility of device and application to enable you to do the task required.
One of the topics that was around for a while, but that sort of early pandemic suddenly became a hot topic, was collaboration and the ability to collaborate. Now, what devices can you bring into a collaboration? Because some people can only bring in a set device, or you're all on HoloLens 2, or you're all on tablets.
Yeah.
What can we actually support in that application?
So yeah, the nature again of the pipeline is that it controls it all from the central location. So the server controls everything. The clients link in. So as long as there's network access, you can link in from any device. So VR, MR, and even desktop. So obviously some users want to just log in from a desktop application, and they can be part of the remote session, see what's going on, look at the design review that's happening, apply comments, anything that you can do singly, you can do it in this collaborative environment. So the device is insignificant essentially. But we see use cases for the devices. So VR obviously, you can render. It's not solely tethered, but historically tethered to a machine. You've got that powering it, so it can do a lot more rendering, can do a lot more processing over some of the mixed reality devices. But those lines are blurring, as I say, with the remote rendering capabilities and wireless streaming on VR, that they're getting closer to be able to do the same tasks.
So you mentioned there that the lines between VR and MR are becoming sort of blurred. What's the latest offering from Theorem in regards to device support in VR?
So we attempt to support the devices as they're released. Obviously, we've got a development cycle, so we include what we can. We've got an example here, is the VIVE Focus 3. So this has got wireless business streaming, so it's being able to stream to the VR device. You're no longer tethered. So essentially, as I've said, when the devices are released, our architecture enables us to, for not much work, bring that device alongside. We're not tied to a device. We're not saying, you need to buy a load of these. We don't mind what devices you buy. This one's been released. We've coded for it. It's available to use. Similarly, we've got another 3 upstairs, being worked on that we're loaning to port our software to. It's not a big task. We just have to support our customers as they choose to move with these devices.
So it's based on what's available and who's requesting it.
Yeah, there's some big players in the market that I'm sure this year will bring out more devices, and we've got to be ready to support customers with them.
If you roll back sort of 3, 4, even 5 years, everybody was starting on VR and it was all just VR. Then MR started to come into the marketplace, and then the focus was on MR, but there's still, as you say, the VR's coming back into it. What's the Theorem's take on the marketplace for AR, and what's their offering for AR? Because it seemed to have gone quiet, and again, I'm just more recently seeing more inquiries in the AR area.
Yeah, so in honesty, we had an AR offering. We had tablets and smartphones as everybody did, and it did slip on our roadmap. We let it go by the by while we looked at different devices that came along. But at this release, we've just refreshed all of our AR offerings. So essentially, we've brought them up to the latest spec, the latest in the similar menus and features that we offer in the other devices. We've brought the tablet up to spec. So there's 2 main methods that you can use the AR offering, and it's the visual digital twin, which is being able to recognize data. So I've got a physical object, I've uploaded the digital version to the server, and I want to be able to, using my tablet app, snap to this physical thing. So be able to, view the data in the context of its physical object. And we've also got a AR viewer capability, which uses the capabilities provided by Android and Apple with AR Core and AR Kit, and it's about being able to place your objects in recognition of the space that you're in. Obviously, recognize surfaces and apply that. So yeah, we've essentially refreshed our AR offering as more people, as you said, bring it back to us, that they're starting to look on the shop floor of being able to use rugged tablets, or everyone's got a phone that they use. Can we have this capability available to them? So yeah, in that sense, we've listened to the market and brought that up to spec. So that's what we've done at this release.
The other area that is the kind of either or what camp do you sit in, is the argument of Unity and Unreal. Now, we've traditionally been in the Unity camp. What do you see for the future for Unreal?
I think historically, we were led down a path based on devices and what was supported on what device. That was why we took the Unity path. We've obviously since, again, worked with a lot of customers who are now looking heavily into the Unreal path. So again, on our roadmap for the next year is to make it available for the Unreal user, support our pipeline application capability, but again, for the alternate format. So future-wise, we're looking into the Unreal.
So it's all about de-risking the future for the customer, whether it's device or platform or application.
Yeah, we have to listen to the market. We have to listen to our customers, where the market in general is going. It has to feed back into our roadmap, and we have to be dynamic to support their needs.
So that's a kind of an overview of this release. What's coming and how often are we doing updates, because it's such a dynamic market at the moment?
Yeah, so as we've touched on there, we've done a lot of enhancements around HoloLens 2. We're supporting new devices as they're coming out. We've done updates to Theorem-AR. But as you've said there, really, we've got a quarterly development cycle. the rate of change in this market and the requests for features and enhancements and changes from our own roadmap is so vast that we're working on a quarterly development cycle at the moment. So we're going to be hoping to do these videos more regularly, keep our customers up to date with what's coming, what's changing, and hopefully engage with you to enhance it based on what you require.
Well, thank you for joining us on this first of our quarterly release messaging. Please follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, visit the website theorem.com. There's always the latest webinars on there, and also there's a way of contacting us if you've got an additional question that we didn't cover, if you've got an idea, because we're always listening to the marketplace to see what we need to do to keep in touch with your requirements. Please visit theorem.com.